Now let's get into product strategy and innovation. Product roadmap is a strategic plan that outlines the vision, direction, and development of a product or service over time. For startups, it's essential that the product roadmap or service roadmap is closely aligned with the company's overall business strategy to ensure that product development contributes directly to achieving the mission's mission and goals. The roadmap should include short term and long term objectives, clearly defining key milestones and deliverables. It serves as a blueprint that guides the product team, providing clarity on priorities, timelines, and resources required. When developing a product roadmap, startups must first understand the overarching business goals, such as market expansion, customer acquisition, or innovation leadership. From there, the roadmap should reflect how product features and releases align with those strategic goals. For example, if the business goal is to build a stronger user base, the roadmap may focus on user friendly features that encourage adoption and engagement. Additionally, the product roadmap should be flexible enough to accommodate changes based on customer feedback, market shifts, or competitive pressures. Aligning the roadmap with the business strategy ensures that the product team is focused on delivering value that advances the startup's overall objectives while maintaining agility to pivot when needed. Product roadmap is more than just a timeline of features. It's a strategic document that communicates what, why, and when for your product's development. For startups where resources are limited and agility is crucial, a well crafted roadmap ensures that every product decision is intentional and aligned with broader business goals. Startups often fall into the trap building features based on user requests or trends without considering what those features do to advance the long-term vision. A roadmap that's disconnected from the company's vision, mission, go to market strategy, or growth targets can lead to wasted effort or diluted product. When your roadmap is aligned with your overall strategy, it acts as a compass, helping you prioritize features that support customer acquisition, retention, or monetization, allocate resources more effectively, stay focused on delivering measurable value, communicate direction to internal teams, investors, and partners. There are several key elements of a strategic product roadmap. One is vision and strategic objectives. Start with your company's mission and strategic goals. What problem are you trying to solve? Who are you solving it for? Your roadmap should serve these long term ambitions. For example, a mental wellness app aims to reduce anxiety for remote workers, so it may prioritize meditation tools, personalized check ins, and integrations that work with calendars, not just general mood tracking. Also, there's themes and priorities. Group initiatives into themes such as user onboarding or mobile experience or enterprise readiness or retention improvements. This helps stakeholders understand the big picture focus areas. Think about milestones and key deliverables. Define clear markers of progress like beta launches, feature releases, and user adoption targets. These give your team a sense of progress and help manage external expectations. Next, you have to think about short term versus long term planning. Use a horizon based approach. There's now, which is 0 to 3 months, high confidence, immediate priorities. Next is 3 to 6 months, medium confidence initiatives, pending validation or feedback. And then there's the later stuff. That's 6 months or longer, aspirational goals or ideas requiring research and iteration. Now you have to think about dependencies and resources. Identify cross functional needs such as design, development, legal, and marketing, and potential blockers. This improves coordination and minimizes delays. Think about feedback loops and flexibility. A startup's roadmap should never be static. Build in space to incorporate user feedback, test assumptions, and pivot based on market leading. The flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. So let's walk through an example of a product roadmap for a health tech startup. So what's the startup vision? It's to make virtual care accessible to underserved rural communities. What are the strategic objectives? Increase adoption among Indigenous health clinics, reduce patient onboarding friction, ensure compliance with provincial health data regulations. What are our core themes? Accessibility enhancements, such as offline mode or multilingual support, clinical tools, such as secure messaging or medication tracking, and partnership integration, such as with EHR, EHR compatibility or local pharmacy systems. And what are a few milestones we can identify? So Q2, pilot launch with 2 clinics. Q3, add multilingual support with audit logging. Q4, roll out mobile app and collect satisfaction metrics. Roadmap isn't just for product managers, it's a tool for cross-functional alignment. When shared, it transparently It keeps leadership aligned on where the product is headed. It helps marketing and sales teams plan ahead for launches and messaging, and it sets realistic expectations for customers and investors. As a tip, visualize your roadmap in a clean timeline or Kanban style layout using tools like Canva, Trello, Product Board, or Notion. Keep it high level for public sharing and detailed internally for execution. In the early stages of a startup, your product is your strategy in action. A thoughtfully developed product roadmap ensures that every feature, fix, and experiment is helping you build the business you set out to create. It turns ambition into action and vision into. One of the most critical elements of product strategy is customer feedback. As startups develop new products or features, it's essential to gather insights from actual users to ensure that the product meets their needs, solves their pain points, and delivers the promised value. Listening to customers helps avoid costly mistakes and ensures that the product is aligned with market demand. Customer feedback can also be collected through surveys, interviews, user testing, analytics, and direct communication with early adopters. Iteration is the process of refining and improving the product based on feedback. Product that is developed through multiple iterations is more likely to achieve product market fit and better meet customer expectations. Instead of spending months or years developing a product based on assumptions, startups can release early versions, learn from real world usage, and continuously improve. This build, measure, learn approach allows for faster problem solving and ensures that the final product resonates with users. Regular feedback loops foster a culture of improvement and innovation where the product evolves in response to changing needs, preferences, and market dynamics. One of the most powerful tools a startup has is direct feedback from its customers. While vision and intuition are important in the early stages of product development, relying solely on assumptions can be risky. Customer feedback bridges the gap between what you think your users need and what they actually need. It grounds your strategy in reality and helps you avoid building the wrong thing. Whether you're launching an MVP or scaling a more mature offering, actively seeking feedback ensures that your product evolves in the right direction. So, why is customer feedback crucial? One, it validates product market fit. Listening to customers helps you determine whether your product truly solves a meaningful problem. Without this validation, it's easy to waste time, money, and energy on features or services that don't resonate. Number two, it prevents costly mistakes. Early feedback can highlight usability issues, confusing workflows, pricing misalignments, or missing functionality before those issues impact a large user base. It builds brand trust and loyalty. When customers see that their input is valued and it leads to real improvements, they become more invested in your product and more likely to become brand advocates. It also enables agile decision making. Startups must move fast. Feedback gives you the clarity and confidence to make decisions quickly, adjust direction, and reduce uncertainty. So, as we've mentioned before, there's several effective ways to collect feedback. There's a lot of free survey tools like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey that ask structured questions post onboarding or after feature launches. You can also conduct interviews. These are one-on-one conversations with users to dig deeper into their motivations, frustration, and workflows. There's user testing, where you observe users as they interact with your product or service to uncover friction points or unmet expectations. There's product analytics, so you can build this into your app or service, and it watches how they interact with the app, shows where they drop off, and shows which features they engage with the most. The users have in feedback tools. So, like, they can rate features, leave comments, or request improvements directly within the app or product. And then there's social listening and support channels. So you can monitor community discussions, support tickets, and app store reviews for unfiltered organic feedback. So next, we have to turn that feedback into progress. Iteration is the process of using customer feedback to guide continuous improvement of your product. It's the practical side of a learning mindset, taking insights and turning them into action. Rather than wait to launch a perfect product, startups thrive by launching early, learning quickly, and improving consistently. This iterative approach is central to modern product development methodologies like Lean Startup and Agile. The build, measure, learn cycle is in 3 steps, where you build, which is release a prototype, MVP, or new feature with just enough functionality to test a hypothesis. 2 is measure. That's where you collect feedback and data to assess how users interact with it. And 3 is learn. Use the findings to inform the next round of development. And you repeat this cycle continuously. Each loop brings you closer to a product that truly fits your users and the market. Let's say your startup launches a new feature that allows users to customize their dashboard. After a few weeks, analytics show very low engagement. You follow up with a survey and learn that users found the customization too complicated and time consuming. So, based on this feedback, you want to simplify the UI, Add a guided onboarding step and introduce preset templates to lower the barrier to entry. Then you release the updated version and engagement improves by 60%. That's the power of iteration in action. To truly benefit from feedback and iteration, startups should embed these practices into their culture. Make feedback collection a regular, structured activity. Treat all feedback as a gift, even criticism. Celebrate improvements and learnings, not just flawless launches. And encourage cross functional collaboration around feedback and insights. That's product support, sales, and marketing. Startups don't win by launching perfect products on the first try. They win by learning faster than the competition. By embracing customer feedback and committing to continuous iteration, you create products that not only work, but delight, empower, and retain your customers. It's the mindset that transforms good ideas into great business. Now let's talk about strategies for rapid prototyping and MVP development. A key principle for successful startups is moving quickly to validate ideas, which is why rapid prototyping and MVP development are crucial strategies. Rapid prototyping involves creating quick, lo-fi versions of the product to test its core concepts. These prototypes allow startups to visualize, experiment with, and refine ideas before committing significantly to their build with resources and to full-scale development. Prototyping helps identify potential problems, assess usability, and gather feedback in the early stages of development. An MVP, on the other hand, is a version of the product that includes only essential features required to satisfy early customers. The goal of an MVP is not to create a perfect product, but to quickly launch something that addresses the core customer pain points and test assumptions about the product market fit. By developing an MVP, startups can enter the market sooner, collect user feedback, and begin generating traction before investing heavily in additional features. This approach minimizes risk by validating product concepts early on and ensures that resources are focused on what matters most to customers. Rapid prototyping and MVP development enable startups to be agile, iterate quickly, and make data driven decisions as they refine their products. In the high speed, high risk world of startups, the ability to test ideas quickly and learn fast is often the difference between success and failure. Two essential approaches that enable this are rapid prototyping and MVP development. These methods help startups validate their ideas without overcommitting resources, ensuring that they're building something customers truly want. Rapid prototyping is the practice of building simplified, early stage versions of your product, usually low fidelity and inexpensive, to quickly explore and communicate ideas. These prototypes can take many forms, such as sketches, wireframes, clickable UI mockups, paper prototypes, no code mockups using tools like Figma, Marvel, or Canva, simple workflows built in Airtable, Notion, or Glide. Goal is not to build a functional product, but to visually and interactively represent key features or workflows so you can get early user reactions, validate design choices, spot usability issues, align your team around a shared vision. Rapid prototyping helps eliminate guesswork and reduces the risk of building a product no one wants by collecting feedback before any code is written. An MVP, on the other hand, is a functional, bare bones version of your product that delivers just enough value to solve a key user problem and test your core assumptions. It is not your final product, it's your first real world experiment. The primary purpose of an MVP is to launch quickly, learn from real customer usage, and prove or disprove your product hypothesis with minimal investment. By testing your riskiest assumptions early, you avoid investing months or years into a full featured product that might have missed the mark. Some key characteristics of a good MVP include it solves a specific pain point, it delivers value with minimal functionality, it targets a focused user audience segment, it's fast and cheap to build, and it's designed for learning, not for perfection. So, as an example, Dropbox built an MVP that was a simple explainer video showing how the product worked. It helped validate demand before building any complex technology. There are several steps to effective rapid prototyping and MVP development. Number one, define your core problem. Start with a clear understanding of the customer pain point you're solving. What's the biggest problem? What's the simplest way to solve it? Two, map out user flows. Sketch how the users will interact with your solution. Focus on key actions, not every possible feature. Three, build a prototype if needed. Create a clickable or visual prototype to validate flow, layout, and logic with users or stakeholders. Four, identify your riskiest assumptions. What needs to be true for your product to succeed? Build your MVP to test those assumptions directly. Develop your MVP. Choose a no-code, low-code, or lightweight dev approach depending on your team's resources. Only include features that are absolutely necessary for solving the core problem. Six, launch and learn. Release the MVP to a small focus group of early adopters. Collect feedback through interviews, analytics, surveys, and usage patterns. And 7, iterate based on feedback. Use what you learn to refine, pivot, or scale your solution. The MVP is the start, not the finish line. There's a lot of tools and they change constantly, but here are a couple examples that hopefully still exist when this video comes out. There's Figma, Adobe XD, Balsamiq, and Sketch for design and prototyping. There's no-code MVP options like Bubble, Glide, Webflow, and Thunkable. For internal workflows, there's Airtable, Notion, and Zapier. And for user feedback, there's Typeform, Maze, Hotjar, and Usability Hub. There are a few pitfalls to avoid when developing an MVP. It's easy to keep adding just one more feature, but don't focus on the core experience and don't overbuild. Don't confuse MVP with a low quality product. MVPs should be minimal, not sloppy. Even simple products should be usable and reliable. And don't ignore feedback. The MVP isn't the goal, it's a learning tool. Use it to guide your next steps and not to justify preconceived ideas. Rapid prototyping and MVP development aren't just about speed, they're about smart learning. They help you validate your vision without wasting time or money, stay agile in uncertain markets, and ensure you're solving the right problems in the right way. For startups, this is more than a methodology. A successful startup thrives on innovation and experimentation. The ability to constantly explore new ideas, test assumptions, and improve processes is a key driver of growth and differentiation. To foster this culture, leaders must create an environment where experimentation is encouraged and failure is seen as an opportunity for learning rather than something to be feared. Teams should be empowered to test new concepts, try unconventional solutions, and push boundaries without the fear of making mistakes. Building a culture of innovation involves providing resources and support for creative thinking, experimentation, and risk taking. Startups can encourage innovation through brainstorming sessions, cross functional collaboration, and time dedicated to side projects. Additionally, making data and insights easily accessible for all team members ensures that decisions are informed by evidence rather than guesswork. When employees feel safe to experiment, they are more likely to come up with new ideas that can lead to breakthroughs in product development, customer experience, and market strategy. Ultimately, a culture of innovation and experimentation helps startups stay ahead of competitors, attract top talent, and continuously adapt to changing market conditions. In fast moving and unpredictable markets, the most successful startups aren't necessarily the ones with the most funding or the most polished product. They're the ones that learn and adapt at the fastest. At the heart of this adaptability is a strong culture of innovation and experimentation. Innovation isn't just about big disruptive ideas, it's about cultivating a mindset that encourages curiosity, continuous improvement, and the freedom to test and learn. A startup's ability to innovate consistently across product development, operations, customer experience, and internal processes can be its greatest competitive advantage. Culture shapes how your team thinks, works, and solves problems. If your culture rewards creativity, experimentation, and learning from failure, your team will naturally seek better ways of doing things. But if your culture punishes mistakes or overemphasizes perfection, then innovation gets stifled. A true culture of innovation is one where new ideas are welcomed and valued, regardless of someone's role or title. Iteration is part of the workflow, not an afterthought. Failure is viewed as a necessary step towards success, not a threat to be avoided. And data is used to learn and improve, not just prove someone right. There are some practical strategies to help foster innovation and experimentation. So normalize phrases like, what did we learn? And let's test and see in everyday conversations. Team members need to feel safe to voice ideas, challenge assumptions, and take risks without fear of blame or embarrassment. Leaders set the tone here, model curiosity, humility, and openness to feedback. You can use the build, measure, learn feedback loop to embed experimentation into product cycles. Empower teams to run small, low risk experiments to validate ideas, whether it's A B testing or a landing page, piloting a new onboarding flow, or trying some different pricing strategies. The key is to test early, quickly, learn fast, and scale what works. Innovation needs room to breathe. Dedicate time for brainstorming, creative problem solving, or hack days where teams explore ideas outside of their regular duties. These seemingly unstructured moments often lead to breakthrough thinking. Innovation often happens at the intersection of disciplines. Encourage teams from different functions, engineering, design, marketing, customer support, to all work together. This diversity of perspectives can lead to fresh ideas and a more holistic solution. Ensure all team members have access to easy, accessible data that's relevant and has customer insights. When people understand the why behind their work, they're more motivated to improve it. Use tools like dashboards, user research libraries, and shared metrics to democratize data. Shift the focus from did it succeed to what did we learn? Celebrate small experiments, even the ones that didn't go as planned. Recognize employees who challenge the status quo or bring bold ideas to the table. Innovation isn't a one time initiative, it's a daily habit, and you have to make it stick. Hire for a growth mindset. Look for people who thrive in ambiguity and are eager to learn. Document and share learnings. Keep experiments and innovation logs and journal and track what's been tried, what's worked, and what didn't. Set innovation goals. So these could be OKRs, objectives, and key results alongside growth and revenue goals. Startups that build a culture of innovation and experimentation don't just stay relevant, they lead. This culture helps uncover new market opportunities, fuels constant product improvement, attracts entrepreneurial minded talent, enables resilience in the face of change. In a world where agility often beats size, a culture of innovation gives startups the edge to outmaneuver incumbents, delight customers, and grow sustainably. Product lifecycle refers to the stages a product goes through from its inception to its decline. For startups, managing the product lifecycle effectively is crucial to ensuring the product continues to deliver value and remains competitive over time. The lifecycle typically includes several stages, from ideation, development, introduction, growth, maturity, and eventually decline, at which point it's retired. During the ideation stage, the product idea is conceived and refined based on market needs, customer feedback, and competitive analysis. In the development phase, startups build and test our product, often using prototyping and MVP strategies. Once the product is launched, the introduction stage involves gaining initial traction, gathering user feedback, and refining the offering. As the product goes and gains market acceptance, the growth stage focuses on scaling the product, optimizing its features, and expanding the customer base. Eventually, products reach the maturity stage where growth slows and competition intensifies. At this point, startups must decide whether to innovate with new features, pivot to new market segments, or introduce complementary products. The final stage, decline, occurs when the product becomes obsolete or loses relevance. At this stage, startups must decide whether to phase out the product or invest in revitalization efforts. Effective management of the product lifecycle involves continuously monitoring product performance, responding to changing market conditions, and making strategic decisions about whether to scale, enhance, or discontinue the product. By managing the lifecycle well, startups can maximize the product's potential and ensure that resources are allocated efficiently to maintain competitiveness and profitability. Understanding and managing the product lifecycle is essential for startups looking to build sustainable growth. Every product, no matter how innovative, will move through a series of stages from its assumption to eventual decline. Startups that proactively manage this journey are better equipped to maximize value, reduce waste, and stay competitive. In the ideation stage, this is where the spark of the product begins. In the ideation stage, startups explore market needs, customer pain points, emerging trends, and gaps in the current landscape. Brainstorming, user interviews, competitor analysis, and early concept validation happen here. The key objectives are to identify a compelling problem to solve, validate that the problem is worth solving, and explore multiple solutions and select the most promising one. Use customer personas, journey mapping, and a lean canvas model to structure this thinking. Once a viable idea is chosen, the product moves into development. This involves prototyping, MVP creation, and iterative design based on early feedback. At this stage, speed and learning are more important than perfection. The key objectives are to develop the MVP with essential features, test usability and functionality, refine the product through customer feedback loops. Involve real users early and often. Don't wait until launch to validate your assumptions. At the next stage, which is introduction, this is where the product is officially released to the market. It's a time of high uncertainty, but also tremendous learning. The focus is on gaining traction, refining messaging, and capturing the attention of early adopters. The key objectives are to launch to a focused customer segment, track early usage, feedback, and product performance, and begin building brand awareness and user trust. Use targeted marketing, beta programs, and customer onboarding tools to support adoption. Next is when we scale. Once early product market fit is achieved, the startup shifts into growth mode. The goal is to expand the customer base, optimize operations, and build scalable systems. Feature enhancements and performance improvements often take center stage. The key objectives at this stage are to scale customer acquisition and support, improve retention and user engagement, and streamline systems, analytics, and automation. Be mindful of operational strain. Growth can expose bottlenecks in tech, processes, and team capacity. Next is the maturity stage, which is probably several years in for most products. At this stage, the product has wide adoption, but growth starts to slow. Competitors may enter the space, and customers need to evolve. Startup must now focus on differentiation, efficiency, and finding new ways to create value. The key objectives are to enhance the product with new features or upgrades, explore new markets or customer segments, and reduce churn and increase customer lifetime value. Keep innovating. Even mature products can stagnate if they fail to evolve. Next is the decline stage. How do we manage obsolescence? All products eventually face decline due to market shifts, technological disruption, or changing customer needs. The challenge is to recognize the signs early and decide how to respond. There are some options. You sunset the product in a planned and respectful way. You pivot the product for a new use case, or you invest in revitalization so you can redesign, rebrand, or overhaul. Monitor metrics like declining usage, rising support costs, or negative user sentiment as early indicators of decline. There are also some best practices for product lifecycle management. Track KPIs continuously. Monitor product performance using data such as engagement rates, churn, NPS, and revenue per user. Be willing to pivot. Don't be afraid to shift strategies or product direction based on insights and market changes. Plan for lifecycle transitions. Anticipate when your product will need upgrades, repositioning, or replacement. Communicate with customers, whether launching a new feature or sunsetting an old one. Transparent communication builds trust. Balance innovation and sustainability. Mature products still need care. Don't abandon them too soon in pursuit of the next big thing. Managing the product lifecycle is both an art and a science, and it requires strategic foresight, market awareness, and a commitment to continuous improvement. By staying in tune with where a product is in its lifecycle, startups can make smarter decisions about investment, innovation, customer experience, and they ultimately drive sustained growth and relevance in the market. Together, we've outlined the critical aspects of product strategy and innovation for startups. Developing a clear product roadmap aligned with overall strategy, leveraging customer feedback and iteration, and adopting strategies like rapid prototyping and MVP development enables startups to build products that resonate with customers and respond quickly to changing needs. Fostering a culture of innovation and managing the product lifecycle effectively ensures that startups can stay agile and continue to deliver value throughout the product's lifecycle. Here are some homework suggestions if you've been following along. So, this would be a good time to develop or revise your product roadmap, pull some customer feedback, or do some customer research. So, this could be calls, emails, interviews, reviews, and propose ways to iterate based on that feedback. Identify one challenge area to test rapid prototyping or an MVP development. Identify a few ways you could build a stronger culture of innovation and experimentation within your startup or company. And then for each phase in the product development lifecycle, plan for how your team will manage the following. Introduction, how will you build awareness and attract early adopters while working with limited resources? For the growth stage, what strategies will you use to scale quickly and stay competitive? For the maturity stage, how will you maintain market share and extend product relevance? And for the decline stage, how will you pivot, rebrand, or sunset the product? What is your exit strategy for the product? Next up, let's talk about growth strategies and scaling. And for that, you'll have to identify some key growth levers and metrics. As a startup begins to gain traction, it's essential to understand and leverage the key growth factors that drive expansion. These levers are the strategic actions or elements that, when optimized, have the greatest potential to accelerate growth. Identifying these levers starts with analyzing the business's core drivers, whether they are customer acquisition, product adoption, brand awareness, or operational efficiency. Growth levers vary depending on the nature of the startup, but common examples include pricing strategies, referral programs, partnerships, user engagement, and market expansion. Once key levers are identified, startups need to define the metrics that indicate success. These key performance indicators, or KPIs, measure progress towards growth and provide valuable insights into what's working and what needs adjustment. For example, CAC and lifetime value help assess the efficiency of acquisition channels, while conversion rate and churn rate provide insights into how well customers are retained or converted. By tracking the right metrics, startups can focus their efforts on the most effective growth tactics, make data driven decisions, and ensure that resources are spent wisely. Regularly reviewing growth levers and metrics enables startups to adjust their approach and scale effectively. As startups move beyond the early traction phase, the focus shifts from survival to sustainable and scalable growth. But not all growth strategies are created equal. To grow effectively and efficiently, startups need to pinpoint and activate their key growth levers, the specific actions, systems, or mechanisms that generate the greatest impact with the least effort or cost. Alongside this, tracking the right metrics ensures those efforts stay aligned with the strategic goals and are grounded in data, not guesswork. So, growth levers are, you can think of them like strategic buttons you can push that result in meaningful increases in your startup's growth. They vary by business model, product type, and stage of development, but they all share one trait. When optimized, they drive significant improvement across key performance areas. Common growth levers include customer acquisition strategies. So, this could be paid ads, content marketing, search engine optimization, influencer partnerships, or referral programs. So, you incentivize existing users to bring in new ones. Product improvements that will enhance features, fix friction points, or improve onboarding to increase adoption. For pricing models, you could test new pricing tiers, bundles, or freemium to premium pathways. You could also look at market expansion, so enter new verticals, geographic markets, or user segments. And then finally, there's retention and engagement. You can increase user satisfaction, upsells, or repeat purchases. Think of growth levers as high impact opportunities. If you had limited time or budget, what is one effort that would generate the most return? Once growth levers are identified, it's critical to define the key performance indicators that will help measure progress, guide decisions, and identify when to pivot. There are several core metrics to consider. So, CAC, or customer acquisition cost, helps assess the efficiency of marketing and sales. Do you spend $1 to acquire a new customer or 100? The lifetime value of a customer is how much revenue do you get per customer over time. This indicates long-term profitability. Conversion rate is the number of users that are taking a desired action. So, are they signing up? Are they purchasing? And it measures the effectiveness of your funnels and user experience. Churn rate is the number of users who stop using your product over time. This highlights retention problems. Monthly recurring revenue, or MRR, is the predictable recurring revenue per month, and it's key for SaaS and subscription type businesses. Net Promoter Score, or NPS, is how likely users are to recommend your product, and it's a proxy for customer satisfaction and loyalty. Activation rate is how many users achieve first value, the aha moment with your product, and it's tied directly to user engagement and retention. Metrics should be actionable. They don't just track what's easy to measure, focus on what informs real decisions. A powerful growth strategy happens at the intersection of what you can influence and how you measure. So if your customer acquisition cost is too high, focus on refining acquisition channels or boosting referral traffic. If churn is rising, you may need to improve onboarding, support, or product experience. If conversion is flat, explore pricing experiments, landing page optimization, or better audience targeting. You won't be able to track every growth lever at once, but and you shouldn't try. Instead, identify what's your North Star metric. Like, it's the one metric tied most to long-term growth. So that can be weekly active users, completed checkouts, or courses completed, depending on your product. Run experiments, test one variable at a time to isolate its impact, and use data to double down. When something works, scale it. If it doesn't, move fast. Tools like A/B testing, cohort analysis, and funnel tracking to measure the effectiveness of growth experiments are very effective. Advanced startups treat growth as a process, not a one-time goal. They review metrics regularly in dashboards or growth meetings. They build cross-functional growth squads. They stay close to customer feedback to surface new opportunities, and they celebrate learning, not just success. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of intentional work, identifying your biggest opportunities, relentlessly testing ideas, and adapting based on evidence. By focusing on the right levers and tracking the right metrics, your startup can grow with clarity, confidence, and speed, making every dollar and every effort count. In case you haven't noticed, you kind of have to wear a lot of hats and have to have some pretty broad domain expertise if you're in the startup world. So next, let's talk about go-to-market strategy. And this is one of the things I found to be the most intimidating and stressful. A go-to-market strategy is crucial for involving your various teams and bringing your product to market and ensuring that it reaches the right audience in the most effective way. So, developing a successful go to market strategy requires a deep understanding of the target market, customer needs, competitive landscape, and distribution channels. The goal of the go to market strategy is to create a structured approach to market entry that accelerates customer adoption and drives revenue growth. The first step in building a go to market strategy is clearly defining the target customer. This involves segmentation, identifying the pain points a product solves, and creating buyer personas to understand customer motivations. The next step is determining the UVP. This is what makes the product stand out from competitors and why customers should choose it. From there, startups need to decide on the most effective distribution channels, whether that's direct sales, digital marketing, partnerships, or reseller networks. Finally, pricing, messaging, and timing all play crucial roles in a successful go to market strategy. Pricing should reflect both the value of the product and the market's willingness to pay, while messaging must clearly communicate the product's benefits in a way that resonates with customers. By aligning all these elements, startups can create a cohesive and focused approach to market entry that maximizes their chances of success. A go to market strategy is a foundational blueprint for how a startup will introduce its products or services to the world. It's more than just a marketing plan, it's an integrated approach that connects your product to the right customers through the right channels with the right messaging at the right time. For startups operating with limited resources and high uncertainty, a well crafted go to market strategy can make the difference between fast traction or slow, costly burn. The first and most critical step is knowing who you are targeting. This goes beyond demographics. Startups must invest time in customer segmentation, break down your market into distinct groups based on shared characteristics, behavior, needs, industry, geography, etc. Pain point identification. So make sure you understand the specific problems or inefficiencies that your product addresses. And buyer personas. Build fictional but research based profiles that represent your ideal customers, including their motivations, decision making process, and objections. A precise understanding of your target audience allows you to tailor everything from product features to marketing campaigns for maximum relevance and impact. Your UVP is the core of your go to market strategy. It answers the question, why should a customer choose my product over any other? Strong UVP should highlight the most compelling benefits of your product, be rooted in the actual problems your customers care about, and clearly differentiate your offering from competitors. For early stage startups, it's okay if your UVP evolves as you learn more through customer feedback and market testing, but you need to start somewhere. Next is to choose your distribution channels. Where and how you deliver your product is just as important as the product itself. Your go to market strategy should specify the distribution channels that will best reach your target customers. Some common options include direct sales, especially with business to business, self service digital. So, this is especially popular with business to consumer and SaaS products, partnership or channel sales. So, that's reseller networks or affiliate programs, marketplaces or platforms such as Shopify or the App Store. Startups should prioritize one or two channels to focus on initially, test assumptions quickly, and double down on what works. Once you've prioritized one or two channels to focus on, and you've tested your assumptions and you've doubled down on what works, now you want to work on your pricing strategy. Pricing can feel like a guess at first, but it's a critical signal of value and positioning. Your pricing strategy should consider the perceived value of the customer, what comparable product solutions cost, your cost structure and desired margins, and your willingness to pay. This is validated through interviews or experiments with customers. Many startups start with a pilot or freemium model to reduce barriers to adoption and then refine pricing based on customer behavior. Messaging is how you communicate your UVP to your audience. It should be clear, consistent, and tailored. Avoid jargon, focus on benefits, not just features. Align your messaging across your website, sales deck, emails, and ads. Speak differently to technical buyers versus decision makers, or end users versus executives. Positioning is how you want to be perceived relative to competitors and should guide how you frame your messaging and brand. Next, you want to establish your launch plan. Finally, map out the key phases of your market entry. This might include a soft launch or beta release to collect feedback and validate assumptions, product launch campaign with a clear timeline and promotional plan, a feedback loop to monitor results, learn from early adopters, and iterate quickly. Startups should view go to market as not a one time event, but as a continuous learning process. Let's talk about strategies for customer acquisition and retention. Customer acquisition and retention are two critical pillars of sustainable growth for startups. While acquiring new customers is essential for expansion, Retaining existing ones ensures long-term profitability and customer loyalty. Successful startups typically employ a variety of strategies to attract and retain customers, often beginning with a customer centric approach that emphasizes understanding customer needs and delivering exceptional value. For customer acquisition, startups often use inbound marketing tactics such as content marketing, SEO, and social media to attract potential customers. Outbound strategies such as targeted advertising, email campaigns, and cold outreach can also be effective for reaching specific customer segments. Referral programs and word of mouth marketing are additional strategies that capitalize on customer satisfaction to generate new leads. On the customer retention side, startups must focus on delivering value continuously, providing excellent customer service, offering personalized experiences, and implementing loyalty programs are key to keeping customers engaged. Regular communication, product updates, and listening to feedback also help strengthen customer relationships. Startups can enhance retention through automated email campaigns, customer education, and user communities, all of which contribute to long term customer satisfaction and retention. Ultimately, balancing both acquisition and retention strategies is essential to building a strong and sustainable customer base that supports scaling efforts. Customer acquisition and retention are two of the most important engines of startup growth. Acquiring new customers brings visibility, traction, and revenue, while retaining them increases lifetime value, builds brand loyalty, and reduces the need for constant reselling. For resource constrained startups, it's not enough to focus on one or the other. Success lies in mastering both and doing so in a lean, focused, and data informed way. Acquisition strategies, they help you identify, attract, and convert your target audience into paying customers, but not all growth is good growth. Startups should prioritize acquiring the right customers, those who will see real value, stick around, and spread the word. Key acquisition strategies include inbound marketing, which attracts customers through valuable content. This is content marketing like blog posts, videos, case studies, and guides that address your customers' problems. SEO, so that ensures your content ranks well for relevant keyword searches. And social media marketing. So this is building an audience and engaging users on platforms where they spend time. Inbound marketing takes time, but it builds trust and scales well over time. Number two is outbound marketing. So this is actively reaching out to potential customers. This is cold calling, email, targeted outreach to prospects, especially effective in B2B settings. For targeted advertising, you can use platforms like Google Ads, LinkedIn, Meta to reach specific demographics. And then there's sales prospecting, which is research-driven approaches to connect with decision makers. Outbound is ideal for fast feedback loops, high ticket items, and B2B startups. Referral and viral loops are letting your customers bring in more customers. So this could be referral programs that offer incentives for customers to refer others, and word of mouth marketing. This encourages happy users to spread the word through social proof, testimonials, and case studies. Startups should measure the customer acquisition cost for each channel to prioritize the most cost effective approaches. Retaining customers is often more cost effective than acquiring new ones. High retention means you're solving real problems in a sticky way, and it's a sign that your product is providing ongoing value. In fact, improving retention often improves acquisition because loyal users are more likely to refer others. Some key retention strategies include onboarding and activation. This ensures users understand how to get value from your product early on. Use guided tutorials, in-app messaging, and onboarding emails to reduce time to value. Offer responsible, helpful, and human support, even if automated. Proactively reach out to users to ensure they're succeeding with your product. Email nurturing is a way to use automated drip campaigns to keep users engaged with new features, tips, and relevant content. There's webinars, documentation, and video tutorials to help users deepen their product usage. And user communities or forums. This encourages peer-to-peer learning and brand loyalty. There's also feedback loops and continuous improvement. Regularly collect and act on feedback through surveys, interviews, or analytics. Let customers know when their input leads to product updates. This builds trust and loyalty. You can also create a reward program for long-term users and turn power users into brand advocates or ambassadors. Startups should monitor their metrics like churn rate, LTV, and net promoter score to track retention performance. It's easy to overinvest in acquisition early on and neglect retention, but doing so can lead to what they call a leaky bucket, where new customers keep falling out. Conversely, focusing on only retaining might limit your growth velocity. Great startups build design strategies that align acquisition channels with long-term user behavior. So you attract users that are more likely to stick with your product and build products and experience that earn customer loyalty. and use data to iterate and improve on both acquisition and retention efforts continuously. By investing in both pillars, acquiring the right customers and retaining them through value and connection, startups can build a solid foundation for sustainable, scalable growth.